Hi friends, this is Jesin from Edulogics, where we tell you all the information you need to start your career abroad in countries like Australia, US, Canada and New Zealand. If you are a medical doctor and you're ready to start your medical practice in Australia, then this video is for you. In this video, we'll be telling you all the information that you need in terms of the eligibility requirement, process, steps, cost involved to start your medical practice in Australia. Before we get into the details, the Australian medical system has both the public and the private health practice. As a medical doctor in Australia, you can choose to practice between a public sector and well as a private health sector. Australia offers a good remuneration, a fantastic lifestyle, as well as work-life balance, an excellent opportunity to upgrade your qualification and for continuous learning. The salary of a doctor can vary depending upon the experience and the stage of practice. However, they are one of the highest paid professionals in Australia, starting from $150,000 in a year and can go up to $400,000 in a year. All doctors, local or internationally qualified, are required to be registered with the Medical Board of Australia. The Medical Board of Australia makes sure that all the internationally qualified doctors are able to suitably practice within the Australian healthcare system and they are competent to do so. Now, you also must have heard about the organization AMC or Australian Medical Council. AMC is an assessment board that basically evaluates the qualification of international medical graduates and makes sure that they suit the Australian healthcare system and they can follow the standards of practice. For overseas doctors like yourself, you have three pathways. Number one being the competent authority pathway, number two is the standard pathway, and number three is called the specialist pathway. Don't worry if all this sounds confusing, I will explain you each one of them. Number one is the competent authority pathway. So if you are a doctor who has graduated from UK, Ireland, US, Canada or New Zealand, then you have the option to take this pathway. You will not only need to meet the qualification requirements from these countries, but you also need to ensure that you have the relevant work experience before you apply to AMC. On the screen, you will be able to see a process flow that will explain you the various steps required in this pathway. So in this process, you will be able to see that first you need to ensure that you find a suitable employment in Australia. Once you have the suitable employment, you will now need to apply to the Australian Medical Council. The AMC will perform your primary source verification, or basically the verification of all your documents and qualification. Once they are satisfied, you can apply to the Medical Board of Australia for a provisional registration. Using this provisional registration, you will now need to undergo a 12 months of supervised practice in Australia, and once you have completed your supervised practice, you can now apply to the MBA or Medical Board of Australia for your final registration. The advantage of this pathway is that, as you can see, it does not involve any examinations and is also a very fast pathway for medical graduates. But as I said, this is only limited to those who have graduated from specific countries that I explained to you before. Let's now look at the various fees involved for this process. Now, to apply for the AMC primary source verification, you will now need to create an AMC account which will cost you $640. You will need to create an Epic account which requires a fee of 230 Australian dollars. Once your assessment is complete and it's a time to apply for your provisional registration with MBA, that can cost you around $720. Your final registration fee would be $506. Make sure you check all the fee from the official websites. I'll leave the link in the description box below, as this may change anytime. Number two pathway is the specialist pathway. This is basically for those who are specialists in their home country and who wish to be recognized as a specialist in Australia. If you are a medical professional who wish to practice in a very specialized area, then this is the right option for you. The process for specialist recognition slightly varies, but it also starts with the same process of applying to the Australian Medical Council. The AMC will perform your primary source verification, and in the same manner as I explained to you before, you'll need to pay AMC the standard fee as well as create an Epic account. You might be required to also submit your English language proficiency for this pathway, and make sure you check the MBA website for the English language practice. But in a nutshell, you'll need to submit the scores, which is basically IELTS 7 each. If you're taking IELTS examination, you also have the option to take PTE, which is again 65 each. And if you're taking the OET, then level B in each of the domains is required. Now, once you have submitted all these documents and AMC has performed your primary source verification, the next step is to apply to the relevant college. Now, depending upon the specialty where you want to practice, there are different medical colleges who will perform the assessment. And it's important to note that each college may have its own assessment process. I will leave the link of all the college contacts in the description box below, so make sure you check them out. Now, the college will also go through your specialist qualification, your training and experience, and based upon that, they will make an assessment. You may also be required to undergo an interview in this assessment process, and depending on the outcome of the assessment, the college may require you to undergo an examination or may also allow you to practice with a provisional registration. They may also ask you to perform a period of supervised practice or may also recommend specialized training for you. Now, the college will make the recommendation to the Medical Board of Australia in terms of your application and whether you are ready to be registered as a specialist in Australia. If you're successful with the application, you can apply for the final registration with Medical Board of Australia. All the fee that I've explained you in the competent authority pathway also is applicable here, but also remember, depending upon the college where you're applying, they may charge a good amount of fees to conduct your assessment for your specialist qualification. Now, that can range from $4,000 to $10,000 as well. Now, the third pathway is called the standard pathway. Now, this is the most common pathway for international medical graduates who have not done their qualification from any of the recognized countries that I explained before. And in this pathway, you're required to appear in the 2 exams by Australian Medical Council, which will include a theoretical exam and a practical examination. We will be soon releasing a detailed video about the standard assessment pathway, which will provide you all the details about the different examination and the process involved in this pathway. So here you go, my friends. It's a summarized version for you to understand the different pathways if you are an international medical graduate thinking about pursuing your dream career in Australia. I hope you found this information useful. If you did, please make sure to share it with your friends and give this video a thumbs up. Stay tuned for our video on standard assessment pathway. Until next time, stay safe and stay happy.